What is up, YouTube? This is your host, Ranee B, here to spill that homicidal tea. And today, we have a really unnecessarily bitter blend of tea we're spilling. It's, like I said, a bitter start to what could have been a really sweet ending. But it was, taken too soon doesn't even begin to cover this case. Today, I'm going to be fired up because I just got done research. This is already a tangent.
Oh, God, here we go again.
I just got done researching a case about in Florida, of course, Florida man, about two teens that wanted to practice murdering somebody, so they could be prepared for their upcoming robberies that they were planning to do, so they wouldn't be shook if they had to kill someone. So they chose their friend and lured her into the woods, knowing that she had a crush on one of them. You already know how it ended, and these assholes are now asking for revisions of their sentences and abilities to get education and get out of jail because I'll be a better person. No, you voluntarily gave that right away when you picked up that gun.
I could keep rambling forever.
I can get pretty fiery. I can blow the hell up. I can probably a couple times in my life have had people doubting their safety around me. But I'm just saying this to illustrate the point that everyone gets unhinged sometimes, but not everyone procures a fucking weapon and proceeds to take someone's life with it. When you choose that, the active small choices that lead you to that act, you have so many times that you can say, dude, no. And if you don't, you get the needle, hopefully, or jail for life, I guess, period. I'm sorry for the long intro. It ties into the story because I'm gonna lose my shit again. So stay tuned if you have a thing for middle-aged chubby women that get pissed off on YouTube. You're in for some content. Otherwise, one more thing. And Cinemaholic, I'm pointing you out. Okay, this is like a website that brags that they get 10 million hits a month. And they did a story on this case that I'm about to talk about. Their first sentence of the report had the birth date wrong. That's like page 1, word 1, sentence 1. How do you expect to have any sort of merit if you can't even get the victim's date of birth right? I am a very low level relayer of true crime information. My fact checking is better than this corporate website. Seriously. I just take that personally because it shows how much you just don't give a shit. Anyway, victims are what this channel is about, and it just pisses me off. And what if I didn't find the beautiful dedication website that Chris's mother, the gentleman we're going to cover today in his case, that put up the correct dates? I would have relayed that incorrect information, basically creating this whole fiction-based shadow of what the victim was. Okay, I'll stop. But it irritates me to no end. Okay, rant over, maybe?
No.
Let's get to the case, because I'm riled up again. Let's dive into this absolutely unnecessary slaying of a man in the peak of his prime. The solved homicide case of Chris Mariconi. Okay, I have checked my bad attitude, at least for now.
So many lies, Kyle, you can't even keep them straight.
So let's just start back at September 20th, 1980. It was a day of celebration for Robin and Chris Mariconi as they welcomed their new baby, a son, boasting the same name as his daddy. They were thrilled to be parents, and they went on to welcome a daughter as well, named Danielle. Life was good for the little family, and it was just typical New Yorkers just getting by, but unfortunately tragedy struck in 1994 when Chris and Danielle lost their dad and Robin lost her husband. But as New Yorkers are said to be, the Mariconis, they were resilient, and they charged through this tragedy with spirit and a desire to remember those that have passed while continuing to look ahead for great things that were going to come. Robin eventually met and married a man by the name of Peter Garillo. Down in Texas, they say that as Garillo, but Italian, I don't think you can say it like that. Anyway, it was probably like Garillo. Gosh, I love Italian. I wish I could speak Italian, but I obviously can't. And things seemed to be somewhat normal again. Well, growing up, Danielle and Chris, they were instilled with the values that supported their heritage and their neighborhood. They had a great pride for who they were and who they were going to be. And they never left anywhere in a worse state than they found it. And that went for people too. Chris was known to be a fantastic person, like the light of the room, a cheerful guy that would be the annoying person that pestered you whenever you were really pissed off or like ugly crying, upset, and you somehow cracked a smile and mustered enough strength to slug him in the arm because you were perfectly fine being that blubbering idiot. But then here he comes to make you laugh and snap out of it, and it gets you back to your chipper self. You know, it's just one of those kind of guys. Chris and the fam, they were over in Yonkers, New York, like I said, but this was the early 2000s. In Manny is where he liked to hang out. I would have loved to hang out with him, you know, like hitting the clubs and getting into all sorts of mischief. That would have been so much fun. But alas, this ain't about me, so back to the story. In Manhattan, New York, on November 1st, 2003, Christopher was out clubbing with a few of his friends, and he met a girl by the name of Ranee Aragoza. She was a 19-year-old fashion student intent on making her mark in the belt and handbag industry. Holla! She also happened to be a knockout, and Chris was a pretty good-looking cat, too, so they looked like an Urban Clothing ad whenever they were standing together. Well, they hung out that night and they hit it off so well. They planned to meet up about a week later. What Chris didn't know is that Janae had a very toxic ex that was unstable, extremely jealous, that she'd met about a year prior when he was working in a neighborhood bar. Trevor Frederick. Check that anger, girl. Then 25, was an illegal immigrant hailing from Grenada in the West Indies. Trevor and Janae, they got along well at first anyway, and then they struck up their relationship, but it was a year-long romance that was wrought with violence, stalking, and physical abuse. Trevor was relentless in following Janae and was even said to have choked and hit her on multiple occasions. I mean, as assholes usually do. He lost his shit when Janae dumped him. I mean, imagine that. When she refused to take him back, he wouldn't take no for an answer, and he vowed to kill Janae in the week after she'd met Chris. Now, I'm not certain that he even knew that she was interested in Chris yet, but she recorded this asshole saying, "You're going to die in 7 days. You have my, I hate you. You're already dating someone else after our breakup, and baby, I'm going to find you. If you're going down, if I'm going down, you're going to go down too." What does that even mean? Shut up. So he must have seen them talking in the club or her talking to somebody. Anyway, moving on. Chris was looking forward to hanging out with Janae that Thursday, and that was when they were supposed to meet up. I believe it was November 6th, and he was going to go get himself a haircut and look all fresh, and, you know, he went home and showered so he could go and catch the subway and go pick up Janae at her off-campus housing. He was addicted to his music, of course, so, I mean, like, it was, you know, check your hair, check your clothes, got your phone, got your Walkman. All right, well, he picked Janae up from her dormitory-type apartment, and he forgot his Walkman at her house. Now, thinking he would go back later and just pick it up before he left the city. Carefree and having a great time. They shot pool, they drank, and they danced to songs from back in the day. And it was just innocent beginnings of what's to come. All the sparks and excitement that went along with it. But the night was getting closer and closer to day. So they called it a night, and Chris would head over to the subway. But he remembered he left his Walkman over at Janae's house. So they cruised over there and got it. They hung out a little bit more and just talking, you know, nothing, just talking. And this is when she told him about Trevor. Now, Chris was cool and collected. He not a violent guy at all. So he had a hard time understanding someone with so much rage, but he tried his best to feel for the guy, you know, telling Janae, you know, when guys are hurt, they get angry instead of, you know, sad. So just give him time, he'll move on. As Chris was getting up to go leave, they opened the door and Trevor was right there. He shoved his way into the apartment, and Chris looks like a guy that can handle himself, but he resorted to that side of himself only when he was needed, and he thought this guy was just a hurt dude. Like, again, showing rage is pain. Chris just thought, okay, just be patient with him. And he tried to reason with this nut job, explaining that they had just met, that Janae and him, like, literally were only talking, nothing physical. Well, unbeknownst to Janae and Chris, Trevor came to that apartment with one thing in mind: forcefully taking back what he missed the most. And what he was greeted with was seeing the embodiment of what he wanted in those two together. He then went on a verbal tirade, even snatching the phone from Janae's hand whenever she was trying to dial 911, and tore the entire phone mount from the wall. After that, he immediately drew a weapon, a knife, and stabbed Ranee in the neck so ferociously that he partially severed her fucking spinal cord and bent the knife blade. Now, this doesn't paint me in a very good light, but my ass would have been the hell out of there. I would have ran the hell. Sorry, I gotta go. Not Chris. No. He could have left. He had a clear path to the door, but he put himself in this piece of shit's way to protect a girl he barely knew. Oh my God. Here come the tears again. I'm so sorry. This is almost every video I start almost crying. I don't know why I do this to myself. I'm a sadist. Anyway, keep it together. He was going to protect her the best that he could, and at any price, even if it was the ultimate price. Trevor then said to Chris, "You made me kill my girl," after he stabbed her. And he lunged at Chris, and he stabbed him in the neck and mercilessly pushed him through a 5th floor window. Ranee was lying on the floor, paralyzed, bleeding out and losing consciousness. And this fucking coward just left the scene. This left Janae's neighbor to come in and call 911. And when first responders arrived, they immediately rushed Ranee to the hospital. Her outlook was maybe grim at best, but it didn't look good. Chris was pronounced dead at the scene, and it was from the fall, not even from the stabbing, that killed him. God, what a piece of crap. Trevor, he was apprehended, and it wasn't too difficult to make a case against him, being that Ranee survived. She testified against this fucker, unable to walk, still very shaken up, but full of fire and demanding justice. And in 2004, the trial ended in a mistrial because one of the jurors suffered a nervous breakdown. Now, I can understand why. I looked it up. In 2004, New York State repealed the death penalty. And if I were on that jury and unable to give this fucker the needle or the electric chair, I would have had a damn nervous breakdown too. But anyway, Trevor was later found guilty on attempted murder, assault, and burglary of Ranee Aragosa. And that was the retrial of 2005. Somehow, the second trial the second jury was split on the attempted murder charge, though. So he was given 30-year jail term, idiots, whatever. For Chris's case, Trevor was found guilty of murder in 2007 and given a sentence of 25 years to life. I guess that's somewhat okay, isn't it? No. It was to be served concurrently, as in the same time as the previous term. So in 2045, this asshole will be eligible for parole. Parole to where? He's a fucking illegal alien. He committed murder on American soil against an American. Send his bitch ass back to where he came from. Whatever. When you come from a country, illegal or not, you can commit a crime that involves such violence and heartache as this. Give me a break. Bye. Go home. Just send him back. And if that comes across as politically incorrect or whatever, then what? Hashtag cancel Ranee B. I don't care. It isn't. Just, oops, accidentally rear-ended someone. Someone fucking died. And not just someone. He is a brother. He is a son. He is a friend. And someone chose to kill him. And not just that. Ranee Aragosa experienced what is known as survivor's guilt, all while being paralyzed. She blamed herself for the whole ordeal and even attempted suicide years later from the trauma. But luckily, thank God, she was found by her father in time to save her. Now, she tried the best she could to get on with her own life, and she was an advocate for ending domestic violence. That's awesome. And she was dedicating herself to improve people's lives with disabilities. Defying all odds, Ranee Aragosa was reported as being able to slowly starting to be able to walk again. She still had numbness in her left arm and leg. However, oh God, don't cry again. On July 21st, 2021, she peacefully, that's the way they quoted it, passed away. And at that time, she was 37 years old. And I can't find out how or why, but peacefully is a nice way to put it, because her time on earth was anything but peaceful. God, this case has me so pissed off. I wish I drank. I just get headaches when I drink, so I can't just dive into another. I'm going to have to go research another script to deal with this rage. Anyway, I literally brought a sachet of lavender, and I have some, it's called smudging spray, and it's got like sage and stuff, and I have that on my wrist, just so, because I knew I was going to lose my shit while I was recording this, so okay, chill out, center yourself, okay, anyway, but I'm glad I did. I have no idea how I found this case. I don't know, it's weird. I'm going to try to get in touch with Chris's mother or his sister somehow, to see if I covered everything properly, and I hope they don't mind foul language. And in the event that this video, among others, one day gets monetized, I read on his mother's dedication page that she's planning to starting a domestic violence foundation in Chris's name. And she wanted to speak at high schools and colleges to empower students to enable them to avoid the aftershocks felt from the remaining victims and survivors of abuse. I want to ensure that she gets some of this money because it's important to keep these memories alive. And it's also unfortunately not cheap to do so. So at the end of this video, I'll post a poem that his sister Danielle wrote as well. I feel in my spirit that he would like for people to hear it. So just take from it what you will, and just wave to Chris in your mind if you get a chance. But thank you so much for watching this case, and please make sure if you suspect anyone you know, male or female, that may be in an abusive relationship, there are a lot of people out there that can help you. I mean, it's not easy to get away, but you can. I'm going to post some resources and some easy to remember numbers on here, so on the screen for you right here and in the description as well. I mean, like I said, take time to wave at Chris in your mind, and he seems like the kind of kid that would really get a kick out of a bunch of people he never even knew thinking and talking about him here on YouTube. So I think he would like that. So until next time, we'll see you later. And I'll try to check my rage, but I can't promise that. Bye.